lovely people, welcome to the video. My name's Athena. I'm a writer working on my first book whilst homeschooling my two girls and being with them 24/7. I'm also healing from surgery. It is almost 2 weeks now and I'm feeling way better. I'm finally out of my PJs, which is improvement, because yeah, writing a book and trying to be creative whilst also not feeling 100% is not. Anyway, I have made progress, not the progress I would have wanted, no. So, where were we last time we spoke? Let's do like a recap and then move into the update. How about that? I had finished draft 3 right before this whole thing happened. So draft 3 was done. Last week's update, I was gonna start the read through of this bad boy right here. I have finished the read through. It has been a week. I finished it on Friday. Today is Monday the 14th. Monday 14th of July. I finished the read through on Friday. I spent the weekend crashing out, having a total just freak out sesh, and wondering what has made me think that I can write a book and how am I gonna revise this book, and I don't know nothing about editing a book and what on earth am I doing with my life? Isn't writing fun? Yeah. So, to give some context, I finished the read through. I had said I was going to read the first part of the book, so the book breaks up into part 1, part 2, part 3. I had thought I was going to do the read through of part 1 only and then kind of work on that and then move on to the rest of the book. I changed my mind as soon as I hit the end of part 1. I just had to finish the entire book. So I did. That was a good thing. That was probably like the only good thing that I did. Well, I mean, it was a good thing. Okay. I finished the entire read through and it just confirmed that part 1 is the one part that needs a lot of work. Like that's where most of the editing has to happen, most of the rewriting. The main like real work has to happen in part 1. Part 2 and part 3, not so much. Part 2 specifically is probably the least amount of work that has to happen. There are some things that I'm gonna be cutting out, trimming. I'm gonna be switching out like one main point of the story, but it makes it all better. And I didn't realize it until I just kind of looked at it like, huh? You know, like it's like sometimes, yeah. Because funnily enough, the scene that I'm going to be changing has been the same for the past 2 drafts. And suddenly I looked at it and I was like, why? This makes no sense. Like, it's like I asked myself these questions and then my critique partner read that part and she was like, she asked the same questions that I was asking myself and I was like, okay. Clearly I missed something in the previous 2 drafts, but that's okay. Because that's why we're doing revision. So, moving on from that, part 2 does not need as much, just some main things, editing, tweaking, which is good. Part 3 needs a touch of work because of certain new scenes that I had added, but more so fleshing out than anything else, really. I'm quite happy with it as overall right now at this stage. Part 1 needs work. Part 1 has scenes that need to be rewritten, I think, from scratch, or at least they need a lot of work, like whole paragraphs need to be rewritten and kind of, you know, which makes me feel like I might just rewrite the whole scenes and just, you know, it'll just be easier that way, I think. We shall see. My prologue needs some work. My prologue is the only part of the book that is in third person omniscient, and it hops between 3 different characters. So our 2 main characters as well as 1 extra character. It jumps between the 3 of them. It's not too long, it's like a 2-page prologue, but it's very vital to the story. It's not like a prologue of, oh, this is like 1,000 years ago, this happened or whatnot. It's literally what kind of set this whole thing into motion, and you get more information on this scene throughout the book. So it's part of the book. It's not just, but because it's set like about 20 years before the first chapter, it has to be a prologue. Like, I mean, because setting it as chapter 1, I feel would be, I don't know. I think that more so the POV is what, you know, but that's the problem with the prologue. I need to figure out like how to write it better in that POV. It's just, anywho. The crux of the matter is, I tried to set up my Scrivener to go through notes and stuff. I have a whole bunch of notes on part 1. And I think this is, again, proof that I knew part 1 needed work even as I was working through it and moving on to part 2 and part 3. I have so many notes for myself in my Scrivener document on part 1 scenes that I realized after I had written it, but I wasn't gonna go in and like do any edits at that point because I needed to move on. You know how sometimes you just need to write the draft. You need to get through it and figure things out as you work through it. So I got into Scrivener and I was like, okay, I'm gonna go through my notes in Scrivener. I'm gonna go through my critique partner notes and feedback, and I'm going to figure out how I'm gonna start editing within my Scrivener document. I had a full-on crash out session. I was, I was looking at the chapters on the side of my Scrivener bar and I was just having a total like, I can't do this. This is too much. How do I edit a book? Again, lots of breakdowns over the weekend. So I was like, okay, let's take a step back. I sat down and I started breaking down my Scrivener document into part 1, part 2, part 3. So I can shut the folders of part 1 and part 2 and part 3 and only have part 1 showing. Just trick my brain into being like, that's what you're gonna work on, okay? That's all that's there. Don't freak out. Then I also decided that there's a bit of world building that needs to happen for part 1. There's a bit of like backstory that needs to be set up. Just for me, like on the side, not in the story necessarily. A few little things will be added to the story, but I need to kind of have it ready to go in order to put it in the story. I tried to do that, I couldn't do that. Yes. So again, I decided I'm gonna follow my cues, follow how my brain works, and I'm gonna start working on the story, and as I come across what I need, I will work on like setting that up. That's kind of how my brain works better. I don't know why I tried not doing it that way. I just, you know. I mean, okay. I think I will give myself one thing. This is the first time I'm editing. This is the first time that I'm really writing a full book from start to finish. The reality is I'm figuring out my process. Like I can tell you several things I would do different when it came to writing that first draft, for example, at this point. I would not be on draft 4 right now. I'd be on like draft 2, draft 3 tops. The way I did my first draft, the way I did everything, but that's learning. We're learning. This is, you know, it's all new. So with all that being said, the game plan right now, it is Monday, the 14th of July. My game plan for this week is I am going to look through all of my feedback from my critique partner as well as myself and kind of pit them against each other in a way, like kind of see what were my thoughts on it, what are my thoughts on it now, and what were my critique partner's thoughts, and kind of see where we have similar thoughts and opinions and figure out how I want to improve on those parts. There are scenes that are automatically rewrites at this point, but there are other parts that I can actually salvage and just work on. So I'm going to sort out my feedback, mark it up in here. My initial thought had been to set up all my notes in Scrivener and work on it straight away. However, that's not gonna work, okay? I know that, I just know it, I'm realizing it, and I'm okay with that. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to mark up my draft. I'm going to literally mark the parts that are good, mark the parts that are not, what I wanna do, what I wanna change, all the feedback and everything I wanna change and do, I am gonna mark up on my draft, my paper draft, and then work from that, because that's just how I want to work and that's okay, you know. So yeah, it makes sense, doesn't it? So I am going to, it is fascinating going through this book when it's an actual book at this point. Like the story, this is actually the story. This is actually my book. Like, because draft 3 had parts that were not, draft 2, sorry, the beginning was not, you know, so that draft technically is not the book as it should be. This is the book. This is the book, and I'm proud of myself for that. You know, I'm giving myself that. I am, because I wrote a book. I did. It's a book. It is a book. But now I need to make it better. Now I need to make it better. So, game plan. We are editing part 1. Now, how much do I want to get done this week? I have been procrastinating a lot. I have been like just having moments of breaking down. And to be fair to myself, I have been through a lot. So, you know, my mental state has been kind of strange. I am improving and I'm much better, so I think we're moving on way better at this point. The game plan for the week, I think 100% I want to make sure I have completely marked up part 1. I want to have all the feedback marked within the draft 100% by Friday. Like that needs to be, I need to be very, very clear on what I'm working on and my plan moving forward with this edit, okay? That's 100% has to happen, non-negotiable, okay? Secondary to that, I would like to start the edits themselves. Like I would like to have started working on the prologue and maybe even chapter 1. I feel like I might be pushing my luck a bit because as I said, it's a slow start, but I feel like once I get started and once I've marked everything and part 1 is ready and marked and ready to just me actually writing within the document on Scrivener, I think it will move faster. So as I said, primary goal, we're gonna mark up part 1 in the draft. All of the feedback, everything that needs to be, you know, what I need to change, everything, I'm gonna mark it down, I'm gonna set it all up, things that I like, things that I don't like, all the work. Once I have that done, I think we will move a lot faster. So ultimate goal, top goal that has to happen, marking it up. Ideally, I would also like to start the edits and actually jump into the prologue in chapter 1 before the next update. But we shall see. We shall see. It is what it is. I will be happy if I just have everything worked up and have a plan, and maybe next week I'm starting edits and kind of diving into it. It is the 14th of July. I would have, ideally I want it to be way ahead at this point, but 14th of July, it'll be, next week it'll be like the 21st. We'll see. I don't want to say I want to finish part 1 within a week or part 1 within a, you know. I do want to finish it faster than draft 3 because draft 3 took a very long time, but it was also a full rewrite. I think I'm going to give myself this week of not setting a set time frame of like, I want to finish part 1 by this time, I want to finish part 2 by this time, etc. I think I'm going to just allow myself to dive in to prepping everything that I need to prep, creating a game plan for myself, and then once I start actually editing, I think then I'll be able to fully like be like, okay, well, let's set some time frames and kind of set some time goals. Hi! So yeah, that is all. I have rambled on long enough. This video is gonna be huge for no reason, literally, other than me rambling. We're gonna mark up this draft and then also do something with that board because it's empty and blank. Fun times, fun times. I will see you guys in the next one.